Hello and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. My name is John Kelly. I'm here with Jeremiah Stringer of YouTube fame, the regionally famous friend of mine. How's it going, man?
It's going fantastic, man. Great to be here.
Excellent. It's always good to be here.
Yeah.
It's always good to be here. If you're watching online, you can see my really cool shirt that my wife got me. This is the Darth face.
The Darth face.
Yes.
Yeah. Check us out on YouTube, the Backpacking Podcast.
Yeah, check us out. This is I love this because I'm a total Star Wars nerd.
Oh, me too, man.
Have you been watching the Bad Batch?
I'm not as big. Remember, we had Matthew Treese on, and y'all talked a lot about Star Wars. And we figured out that you're definitely a bigger Star Wars nerd than me.
Well, I just didn't know if you
100%.
picked up your game since then.
Nope,
So-
not a chance. I'm waiting on the next season of Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, the Book of Boba.
Well, that's like a separate. It's my understanding that's like a separate Disney series
No.
that runs alongside the Mandalorian.
That's not what they're doing, I don't
Oh,
think.
no.
I think that
I thought
is
they're
going
gonna
to
have
be
both.
the Mandalorian this year.
Really?
I think so.
So they're done with the Mandalorian.
Well, no, he'll come back, but I think this season of it's going to be more focused on Boba Fett, but the Mandalorian will be in it with him.
I don't like that, Disney. If you're listening, y'all need to change it up.
I'm sure they're listening.
They're not listening.
I guarantee. I
They could
guarantee.
care less.
Every one of them is listening right now.
But I do like the shirt, man.
Yeah,
The
this was a
Darth
Christmas
face.
present. You know what's great about this shirt?
What's that?
So, my wife got this for me for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
I could not wear this shirt. And it's still a touch tight. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's still a touch tight, but I can wear it now.
Yeah.
So, you lose
feel that
60 plus
shirt.
pounds.
Oh, it feels soft. That's
Yeah,
nice.
It's made in China.
China. They
That's
make
why
all the
it's
best.
the wrong size when I got it.
All my stuff's made in China.
I know,
This
man.
microphone, my computer.
I thought these were made in like Australia or something.
You know what? You're right. I retract my statement.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Rode makes their mics in Australia. So now this clip is probably made in China because it was a cheap knockoff thing that we bought.
Everything but this microphone is made in China. Not really.
Oh, man. Well, hey, speaking of made in, today I want to talk about cottage companies versus mainstream, more big box brand companies and just kind of share our thoughts on both. I would dare say we both, I could be wrong on this and you can tell me if I'm wrong. And I'm okay with that. It wouldn't be the first time you've told me I'm wrong. But I don't think either one of us is against either one. But I would say we probably lean towards one or the other. But I think both have a lot of value. And if you don't have either one, we got a problem.
I think that, well, maybe not. Maybe you make all your own gear.
Oh, MYOG. There it is.
That's awesome. Yeah.
MYOG.
So let's preface, I think, this episode by saying,
You mean preface?
yeah, is that how you say it?
That's preface.
Let's preface this episode.
Okay, can I say something real quick? That's
Yeah,
really
go
funny. This is so I put out some pictures not too long ago because I took my little girl out camping with me. I think we talked about it in a past episode, but got a really cool North Face tent. And it's a 6-person tent. No, it's 6 or 8. It's a 6-person tent.
Sounds big.
It's extremely big. It was on purpose because it's a car camping family tent. So my whole family can fit in it. And you can walk on the inside of this thing. It is 80 inches tall in the middle.
Wow.
And it's
even I can walk in
it's
there.
almost a flat roof. Like it's really nice. But it's got a huge vestibule in the front of it. And Bryce Newbold made a comment on the picture. He goes, I really like the vestibule. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you will find that very funny.
You get it.
But if you haven't, we've had a joke probably going for a year now of the way Jeremiah says vestibule. And it's just kind of become funny. And now it's like bled into other people commenting on it. So
Well, really, it's a joke about how John is a linguistic racist.
I am a linguistic racist.
That's the real.
What is it Jason calls that? He calls it, I'm sorry, Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. He calls it Appalachian racist.
Yeah. Appalachian racism.
Appalachian
he says.
racism.
So
Even though I was born more in Appalachia than he was. I was born in West Virginia, bro.
Yeah, but how long did you spend in the Appalachians?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I was born there, bro. It's in my blood.
I'm not sure that's the way it works, man.
It's in my. I've lived in Kentucky longer than you have.
Yeah, but I'm only 28.
Doesn't matter. I still lived here longer than you have.
That's true. It's shaped culturally. You can. Okay, can I talk about the gear?
Well, before we do that, I want to give a shout out to somebody real quick.
Okay.
Because we got a really cool text message earlier. This is from Jeremy LaCroix.
Yeah, Jeremy
LaCroix from Midwest Backpacker.
Yeah.
And he said, I put in a good plug for the backpacking podcast in the video I put out today. So now this is probably 2 or 3 weeks after that video, but go look for his video. I was listening to a couple of your podcasts while having a rough hiking day on Saturday. You said in the podcast to Legend that his humor just made a hiker smile. It did. And then it's the emoji with the sunglasses on. So we've been saying for a long time, that the reason we do this podcast is to put smiles on people's faces.
Yeah, that's the mission.
So we got that from Jason or Jeremy. So that's really cool that he said that.
Yeah, it's a bit ironic though that we just spent in a recent episode spent the whole time complaining.
Spent the whole time talking about stuff that ticks off backpackers.
We just sat there and got angry, and then made other people angry.
Yeah, somebody's out on the trail right now, and they're like, I gotta go look that episode up because I've never heard him be angry before.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say about this episode is that John, I think that he had this idea about 10 minutes ago. This idea.
Oh, it's been at least 20
minutes. Yeah, we just been hanging out doing nothing, but we don't have anything really rehearsed, and we have no plan in place for what specifically we're talking about when it comes to these companies and literally how they do anything.
Well, and this all came from the fact that our next episode after this one is with Tayson from Outdoor Vitals.
Yeah, and it's the episode before this one, depending on how we publish them.
Either way,
yeah,
we're getting ready to talk to Tayson today.
Yeah,
and so he owns and founded Outdoor Vitals, which is a Cottage brand of backpacking gear. And I was making the comment during us talking about it in the last podcast that his gear it is Cottage, but it's so well done, it doesn't have that Cottage feel to it necessarily. And that's not a bad thing or a good thing either way. It's just, it feels very, very professional.
Yeah.
It feels like you're buying something from like Outdoor Research or Mountain Hardware or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they have created some really good gear over the last year, especially. They've always made decent gear.
Yeah.
And it's not a slight on their stuff in the past at all. But It's been awesome to watch that company grow.
Sure.
And if you know me, I'm a huge fan of Cottage companies.
Right.
I love supporting Cottage brands. I actually just did a video talking about that with backpacks recently, just talking about the different backpacks you can buy. And one of the things I said is I love supporting Cottage brands. I love watching startup companies get a rub and get the opportunity to make something out of themselves where, because Osprey, Gregory, companies like that, they were all Cottage at one point.
Yeah.
Like every big company started out as a Cottage company.
Right.
And then eventually they just expanded to the point. Like Z-Packs is really close to stopping being a Cottage company.
Yeah.
They're just growing massively. I mean, they've got a warehouse full of people working now.
Yeah.
And before too long, they're just not going to be considered Cottage because they're going to get so big.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that in the past about like where is the line
right
for when you go from Cottage to big box or whatever you want to refer to them as. I'll call them big box, but
yeah,
something like an Osprey or Deuter or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I wonder how many people. Let's say that you took YouTube out of the equation, because I think that's the biggest pushing factor is like social media when it comes to people discovering new gear or like how to backpack or how to do whatever.
Right. Right.
If you were to remove that from the equation or leave it in, I wonder what percentage of people start with big box versus start with Cottage. I think it's almost exclusively go to REI or whatever outdoor store is local to you, and you walk up to a guy and you say, "Hey, I've heard about whatever."
Well, I even say a lot of people aren't even going to REI because they don't even know about it. Because if you're not already into backpacking and you take social media and you take YouTube out of the equation,
go to Walmart,
buy Dick's Sporting Goods. places like that. And it's not saying you can't buy good gear from those places. You can. It'll have a time limit on how long you can use some of that stuff. Now, Dick's would be a little bit better.
I think you can buy perfectly good gear. It's just most of the time it's not really tailored to you, and it's usually a little bit heavier.
It's a little bit heavier, and honestly, the quality isn't always there. Like outdoor products, if you buy something that's outdoor products from Walmart, those backpacks will fall apart after a while. Like if you put them through some of the stuff that we do with backpacking, they wouldn't last.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight on them. They're not charging hardly anything. It's like a $25 backpack.
Yeah.
You're going to get $25 out of that easy. Like you're going to get your money's worth out of what you buy. And so it's not a slight on the gear. It's just if you don't have those things, you're not going to know anything else. You're just going to be like, okay, so what is that person using? Oh, they're using an Osprey. I'm going to use an Osprey. When I bought my first backpack, I bought an Osprey Stratus 50 liter. Why? Because it was an Osprey backpack, and I thought everybody used Osprey backpacks, so I thought that was what I should buy.
I think most people do use Osprey. I think that if you were to survey people that backpack, what percent of them have an Osprey? I bet the highest percentage, even though it may only be 8% of backpackers use Osprey. I bet that it is, if not the highest, it is like top 5.
I would say it's probably the highest because I know most backpackers that I've talked to, and I say most because it's not going to be all. It's never going to be all. But I would say 75% of the backpackers I've talked to, they all have at least one Osprey pack.
Yeah.
At least one.
I have one. Do you have one?
I have 2.
Yeah, see?
I have an Atmos and I have a Stratus.
Oh, yeah, Bridget has one. So does that mean I have 2 of them? I don't know. Marital property.
The 2 became 1. Now you have 2 backpacks.
Or is it... No, I think that she has 2. I think I have 1 and she has 2.
So you got 3.
No.
In your house.
No.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
because what's hers is hers, and what's yours is hers.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, you got that right. So,
dad jokes.
I love it. So, I would say like big box brands, especially for beginner backpackers, are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I think they're fantastic, and even for experienced backpackers, like just because it's not Cottage doesn't mean it's bad. Like I think there's a real struggle, especially with YouTube. I think YouTube. One of the things about YouTube that's great is you can hear about gear you're just not going to hear about otherwise.
It's the exposure.
Yeah, you get and we're getting contacted by companies all the time to share about stuff.
You are?
I know, not as much as you. I never do. Not as much as you, but I mean,
I think that you.
I don't want to hear that. I know better than that. I know better than that. I'm half the channel you are. Quite literally half the channel you are. But here's the thing. We get this stuff to check out. And if we like it, we may do a video on it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't ever promise videos typically. I just don't promise videos.
Yeah.
Waymark gave me the Waymark Mile. And when they offered it to me, the promise was made. We don't expect a video. We just want to hear your thoughts on the backpack.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I've done a couple videos on my channel, and the Waymark has been in the videos. I've never done just a Waymark review because, quite honestly, I've only had it for a couple months. I haven't had enough time to I'd rather do a year review on a backpack.
Sure.
Because backpacks, you can review them after 2 months, but you haven't done enough with it.
Yeah, oftentimes you might have only used it a few times.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that gets out once a month, would say, then your review is really not a review; it's initial impressions.
Right. So I'm not going to do a review on it anytime soon. I may do a review after a year, but I have put it in a couple videos that I use it, and here's what's in it, and all that kind of stuff. But those are the things that help people find out about Cottage brands.
Sure.
Like let's just be honest, Chicken Tramper, man. Like I found them by accident online. Like somebody had commented about them on one of my videos.
Yeah, what'd they say?
They just said, I have a Chicken Tramper UL 45 backpack, and it's awesome. I'm like, Chicken Tramper? What the heck is that? So I look it up, find them, and I mention it to you. Hey, what do you think about bringing this Cottage company on? We interview them and talk about their backpacks. I have no clue about either of these guys.
Yeah, I think they're out of Jackson, Michigan.
Yeah, out of Michigan.
Pretty sure.
Jackson is UGQ.
Oh,
they're
sorry.
They're in the Upper Peninsula.
It's not Lancaster.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But they, great guys.
Yeah.
Had an awesome time talking to them on the podcast. But what we did on that podcast is we gave them a platform, and they made quite a few sales because of that, which means we got to help them out.
Yeah.
Which is great. But does that necessarily mean that their product is better than Osprey? Or does that mean that their product is better than ULA or Waymark or Z-Packs or Hyperlight Mountain Gear, or there's so many cottage companies out there. What do you think the benefits are to a cottage brand? We'll do backpacks for right now because that's where we're at right now. What do you think the advantages to a cottage company backpack are as opposed to a big brand backpack and vice versa?
I think that it really, the first thing that comes to mind is like when it comes to a new backpacker, if you go with the big box, I feel like it opens up the avenue for if it is a mistake in purchasing it, it's not a big deal to swap it as well as the warranty.
Return it, yeah. Yeah.
Because like if you get a backpack from Walmart, I'm not sure that they'll take it back if you used it. But if you get it from a lot of other companies, especially
Osprey,
like REI,
Gregory, REI.
If you just buy it from a big box store, oftentimes those stores will take it back. But even more importantly, if it tears up, a lot of times, let's say I'm a gear maker and I am a solo guy and I'm a cottage company. Of course, there are all different tiers on the cottage companies, from huge to one person working part-time.
Yep.
It could be a lot harder for me to get a repair done if I'm a new backpacker, or just I bought a cottage backpack and I'm like, okay, this buckle broke. Can you fix it? Yeah, just send it to me. Well, I don't know what their lead time is on making backpacks, let alone fixing things that were problems.
Right.
But if I bought an Osprey, I can mail it to them, get it back. And especially if you're like in a hurry, like I had a North Face tent that I needed back within 2 weeks for a trip, and something was damaged on it that wasn't my fault.
Right.
And they mailed it right back. They're like, yeah, we'll rush it. We'll pay shipping here. We'll pay shipping back. And we'll rush it. And then it got there, well before the trip.
And a lot of times with the backpacks, you can take it back to the outfitter you went to, and they'll just replace it right there.
Yeah, here you go. Here's a new one.
Yeah, I had a pair of Solomon boots that, like one of the eye holes popped out, like 6 months into owning them. Just the eye hole, not even just fell apart. And so I took it in, gave it to them, and they handed me. They didn't have the boots in stock, so they just took it and said, "We'll have the boots here in 2 days. If you want to come in, you can get them, or if you want to give us your address, we can ship them to your house." And I said, "Well, just get them here, and I'll come pick them up, because it was always going to be quicker." But they literally in 2 days, they had my boots there.
Yeah, and a lot of people that are doing startups, you almost can't afford, I feel like, to have bad customer service, but you also can't afford to be like, oh, this person needs the backpack in 3 days. I'm going to rush ship them a replacement backpack and get there. Like it's not in the cards to do that.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
You're right.
Especially if you're just getting started. It may not be a big deal for a company like Z-Packs or Outdoor Vitals or something like that. If you're a multi-million-dollar company.
Right. But you look at something like Chicken Tramper where they're in a kitchen.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of just two guys building backpacks.
Yeah, and there probably is not a backpack sitting there on a shelf that they can be like, here, let me just ship this one to. And it's like, no, I have to take the next week.
Yeah.
And put together these 5 backpacks.
Well, Ben McMillan at Hilltop Packs, when he started, it was just him and like 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
And now he's got 8 or 9 people, but there's still just 8 or 9 people putting out backpacks and food bags and all kinds of Dyneema products and all this stuff that he's sending out. And it's a lot. And to have a warranty like they do on an Osprey backpack is near impossible for a cottage company.
No, because your lifetime warranty on an Osprey, that thing's going to wear out if you keep using it, and you can get it replaced.
Yep.
But if you buy a Dyneema backpack and you're through hiking and you take it on 2 through hikes and it's worn out, you're going to have to buy a new pack. The owner of the business can't replace. It's so expensive. Dyneema, they're going to take a loss.
That's the other thing about your cottage companies. What's great and what is also, I don't want to necessarily say a negative, but you're talking expensive materials.
Sure.
X-Pack, we just talked about Dyneema, and now this new material that's coming out right now that they're using.
What's the new material?
Oh, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called now, but there's a new material that's starting to be used.
Got any idea?
I think Hunter from Hunter's Trip has a backpack made out of it. But it's just another material that is ultra light, super strong. You know, and it's not cheap. Is the thing is those fabrics aren't cheap, and so to make that backpack, the man hours and the materials to make them are just more expensive than it is for the big box brand.
Yeah,
and they're probably not getting as big of a markup at the Cottage brand as what they are with a company like Osprey.
No, and the bigger companies, the big box, they can get a bigger markup because first you're selling them like you're mass producing them.
Right.
So you're selling thousands and thousands of them. As where the Cottage companies are typically, I feel like, kind of tailored to sometimes even custom. Like, for instance, UGQ, they're a Cottage company. They're getting bigger and bigger. And at some point, they're going to be just like Z-Packs, and you're going to have to outsource some of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Or you're going to have to hire a lot more people and have like a factory style.
Well, I know, talking to Chad, they want, if they could just offer more jobs for their community, they're the ones in Jackson. You know, if they can offer more jobs to people in Jackson, Michigan, they're going to do it. Right. Because he wants to be an opportunity for people. Sure.
And that also gives you a little bit more power when it comes to quality control.
Right.
That's what I was going to say about like some of the stuff that you get. Like if I buy something that's Patagonia, I know, even though I'm paying more.
You mean Patagucci?
Patagucci. That's right. If I buy something that's Patagucci, I know that I'm going to get a quality product. I don't care if it's a wallet, a hat, a backpack, a sweater. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
I know they're overcharging for it. I know that. I also know it's going to be a high quality product.
Yes. And you also know that if it's defective, you can send it back and get another one.
Yes.
And it's no sweat for them at all.
No, and you're going to have consistency when it comes to everything.
Right.
Because they're all mass produced. So if one thing's wrong on one of them and it keeps happening over and over and over, they're going to address that problem. Whereas you go with a Cottage company, you have me sitting there on a sewing machine sewing a backpack together or whatever.
Right.
You know, UGQ, they're making top quilts, under quilts and stuff.
Tarps.
So tarps, all this stuff. And it's literally people sitting there sewing it. Whereas if it were a factory and it's all machine, then it's kind of hands off, you know?
Right.
So you could have, some people complain about different companies. I won't name names here, about like their stitching.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I know what you're talking about, where there's a danger as a company grows that the quality control is a little less capable of being controlled.
Yes, it gets harder and harder until you reach, I feel like you reach a point where it's almost automated. And then once you're there, like Osprey, the reason they don't have stitching issues is they've made 5 million backpacks.
Right.
And if there is an issue, and they have somebody, they have a group of people, I'm sure, that's getting paid to do quality control checks at their factories.
Yeah.
And you just don't, I don't know. It's all complicated.
It's when you're buying from a Cottage company, they aren't making a bunch of backpacks and grabbing one off a shelf and sending it to you.
Right.
They're making your backpack.
And that's one of the best things about it.
That is the biggest positive and possibly the biggest negative at the same time.
It's made for you.
Exactly. So like take UGQ, since we've been talking about them a little bit. I actually watched my quilt be made. I ordered a quilt from them. I guess it was a couple Decembers ago, 2019. And I remember getting online and watching the videos, and I saw when they laid out the fabric, and I watched them cut the fabric out. I watched them stitch it, and then it disappeared for a while.
So they have like a live stream.
Yeah, they did. I don't know if they're doing it at the new place, but they did at the old one. And I actually watched the person closing up the stitching on mine, and then I saw it laying out, and I saw a picture of it laying out with a bunch of other quilts. And so it's made specifically for you, to your, down to the fabric, the fill, the colors. Everything is just made exactly how you want it.
Yeah.
And it's not like they have a backup if that one's defective.
Yeah.
So if you get it and it's defective, you may have to send it back, but then it goes back to the back of the line. And if, let's say, some of these companies, you're talking 2, 3, 4 months wait time.
Well, I think it also is going to depend on the company too. Some companies, I don't know what UGQ's policy is on like if they make a mistake and they have to return it. So I don't know if it necessarily for them goes to the back of the line.
Even if it doesn't, though, you're still looking at a couple weeks.
Right.
So we say you had a plan. I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to get this, and the next week I'm going to go on a trip.
Yeah.
Well, it comes in, something's wrong. Now, I will say this. That's not a UGQ thing typically.
I've never had anything to go wrong.
They don't usually sell anything wrong. But
it's definitely possible with any company.
Yeah, this is with any company. If it did happen, though, you've got to look at the time to ship it back. Then they have to put it back in the production line. And so somebody's getting booted out of the way so that you can get yours done. Yeah. So somebody's getting irritated here somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Somebody's losing money.
Yeah. Somebody's in trouble. You know? And so that's the greatest positive, and I think it's also the greatest negative of the Cottage brands. And that's not a thing against it, because honestly, I love like my Chicken Tramper backpack. I love my ULA backpack. I love all my UGQ quilts. I love all my outdoor vital stuff that I've been getting recently. But it's a thing of, if it's not mass produced, you're looking at wait times.
Yeah.
And those could be really long.
Oh yeah, they could be 6 months.
Yeah. 2, you're also looking at, you better have measured yourself correctly. Because if you didn't measure your torso right, you didn't measure your waist right, everything, if you didn't get the right straps, if you don't do all those things the right way, you could get a product that's not going to work for you. And it's your own fault.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. And I think that's where the big box brands are great, like Osprey, Deuter, Kelty, North Face, Gregory. Those backpacks are pretty adjustable.
Yeah, they even have a lot of times sliders and that kind of stuff.
I know the Atmos does, and so did my Stratos, where I could actually move the shoulder straps up and down to match my torso better. And those things are fantastic.
Yeah, anytime you can move an anchor point.
Right.
Like Outdoor Vitals, that Shadow Light backpack, I figured out that you can change the it's kind of like a workaround, but you can change the anchor point for where you're starting the backpack to lean it towards you. Like the straps, the load lifter straps.
Yeah.
You can almost, change the anchor point for those load lifter straps. And it really made it a lot more comfortable for me. But, if you measure wrong, like if you go to REI and you want to buy an Osprey, they'll stick one of those yellow measuring devices around you, and it checks your waist, and they poke around on your back and see where, the different pieces are supposed to lay, and you can get kind of a custom fit. But a lot
and
of
you
times,
also get to try on multiple backpacks.
Yeah, you can put weight in there.
Yeah, you can actually put the backpack on and try it on, which you don't get to do that with a Cottage brand.
Right.
You don't get to put those on and try them on. You just kind of have to hope that it's everything you dreamed of.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's not.
And sometimes it's your fault. Sometimes it's their fault. And sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Right.
But they can be also locally owned. Like we had the Chatouille Hammock Company here.
Right.
And sometimes you can go in. Like I became friends. YouTube opens up a lot of avenues.
Yeah.
Especially like whatever your niche is. Like mine happens to be backpacking. You make a lot of friends in the backpacking world because you have a lot of common interests. And I become friends with people at UGQ and got to actually go to their shop a few times and hang out and see how things work.
Yep.
Well, if you have a cottage company that's local to you and you want to support local businesses, it's oftentimes not a big deal to just walk into the lobby of their shop and tell them what you want.
Right.
So if you have something that's within driving distances of you, maybe not necessarily have to order it online.
Well, you and your wife are going to be on the Kill Quest live stream here, I think tonight. Is that tonight?
Well, for people listening, it's already happened.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to be on it, right?
I think it's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday night. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be on that, and they actually went to Chicken Tramper.
Oh.
And so they got to check out the fabrics and look at everything and order their packs that way from Chicken Tramper, which was really cool. Yeah. So it is a thing. I mean, these companies want you to come.
Yeah.
It's not like they're hiding from you, that's for sure. But if you can find a way to get there, that's a great way to be able to see the gear that you're wanting to buy. I know for us, our packs that we got from Chicken Tramper was a thank you for being on the podcast, basically. And so they hooked us up Well, it was, and we never did the podcast anticipating that ever. Like
No,
we just thought
just hanging out,
they
having
had
a good
cool
time.
story. Yeah, they had a cool story, and it was like, we want to tell the story, and then they hooked us up with these really cool backpacks. And dude, it's my favorite backpack right now.
It's so much easier to think outside the box whenever you have complete creative freedom.
Right.
When it comes to your gear. And we talked a lot about backpacks. Chicken Tramper, their frame, who would ever thought of this? Of course, one of them's an engineer. A 3D printed anchor point in 4 different spots, and then cutting off carbon fiber arrows.
Yeah, just using the arrow shafts. Yeah.
And there was, we had a couple of people over at the house. You know, we were playing games and stuff, and went into the gear closet to grab something. And one of the people there is like, "What's the deal with that backpack?" Of course, they don't backpack or anything,
Right?
And you know, I was moving it around or something. I showed them the frame, and they're like, "Why is it camo?" And I was like, "Why is what camo?" And they're like, "Why is the frame inside that camo?" And I was like, "Well, all it really is an arrow shaft." And their mind was like, you know, blown.
Yeah.
They're like, who would ever, any backpack that you put on, typically if it's like school style, it doesn't have a frame.
Right.
Right. But then you get into the backpacking, and then if it's framed, they have a lot of times a very rigid structure to them.
Yeah.
But you can think outside the box. You can do it however you want.
My ULA Ohm 2.0, which I still think is one of the greatest backpacks ever made. I love that backpack. I put probably 1,200 miles on that backpack, and it's got an aluminum frame, but it's just a simple like U shape, and it just slides right down into some slats on either side of the backpack. You can take them out, leave them in, whatever you want to do, and it just goes in and out very easily, and it gives great support for your back. It does a fantastic job of supporting you, and like I said, I used that backpack for the whole Sheltoe Trace. I mean, I used that backpack only from 2018 until, I guess, January of this year.
Wow. Multiple years.
Yeah. So it was a great backpack, and used it in a bunch of different states, different trips. Love the backpack. It's an awesome backpack. I beat it up pretty bad. I mean, it's kind of gross looking now. It's like the white is kind of yellowed a little, and but it's a great backpack, you know. And I think the really cool thing about Cottage companies is I think your big box brands are very much, let's get as much into this backpack as we can, so people can have as many options as possible,
but also as generic fitting as possible, so it
can be adjusted. Yep. Yeah, I think the Cottage brand is, let's get a backpack that is customizable. Let's get a backpack that is designed to fit that person only, and let's make it as minimal as possible so that we're not adding weight that's unnecessary to the pack.
Yeah.
Because people who are buying these Cottage brand packs aren't buying them all the time because of wanting extra pockets and all this. They're wanting to cut weight. And you'll find that it's hard to find a big box brand backpack that is ultra light, that is made well. Like, I think Osprey has the Levity, I think is the name of the pack. But I've talked to a few people that have owned that pack, and that one is a little iffy on the durability end. Now, it does have the Osprey warranty, but the fabric is so thin that it's a really thin grid stop, I believe. I don't think it's like a Dyneema or anything like that. It's a really thin grid stop. So it's just very easy to tear, poke holes in, rip, that kind of thing. Whereas you get an X-Pack backpack that weighs sub 2 pounds, you know, compared to an Osprey pack that weighs upwards of 4.5 to 5 pounds. And that's a huge difference for backpacking.
But it's not like, I mean, what you're saying is right, but I think of the market of the companies, though. Like a big box company is marketing to oftentimes new, and when it comes to new people, speaking from personal experience, me, like everything I bought, I'm like, okay, well, it has to be within this budget.
Oh, and, yeah.
You know, if you want a camp chair and you don't have $120 to spend on a 1 pound camp chair, you're going to buy the
3 pound camp chair.
Yeah, for $50 or whatever.
Right.
And your sleeping bag, same thing. you're not going to get 900 filled down on your first sleeping bag, probably.
And that's what I'm saying about the Cottage brand.
It just won't fit.
Yeah,
it won't fit in those little.
Yeah. Well, that's my point. Is like the Cottage brand companies, you're typically, people who are buying those are wanting something that's ultra light.
Mm-hmm.
They want something that's lightweight because they want to do miles and they don't want to have the extra weight on their back. Or they have their gear dialed in and they don't need 50,000 organizers to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's people who love organization love big box brand. They love the pockets. I have several friends. Rob Pelton loves his REI backpack, and that's great. That's cool. That's what he loves because he's found what works.
Right.
And I think we jokingly say hike your own hike a lot.
Yeah.
That's kind of we all agree with it, but at the same time, it's all kind of funny when we bring it up a lot of times in the backpacking world.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like hike your own hike. If you like the big box backpacks, that's great. But if you're somebody who, like me, I don't want 50 different pockets. I don't want the membrane on the top with the extra stuff in it. I just want a big open sack that I can shove a bunch of stuff down into where I know where it's at, close up the top, and it's not going to weigh a lot.
Yeah.
That's really all I want. I want a big back pocket, or I guess technically a front pocket. Okay, explain this to me.
Yeah.
Why, on a backpack, if the backpack is behind you and the furthest thing behind you is a pocket, but they call it the front pocket? I've never understood that. Like,
is that the front pocket?
That's what they call it. That's what they call it, the front pocket, but I don't get it because it's the furthest thing behind you. So it's the back to me, because I said it was a back pocket one time and I got reprimanded by several people. No, that's the front pocket, but it's in the back.
I just call it typically the mesh. It's almost always mesh for some reason. But like, do you see the zipper on your pack?
Yes, I love that.
Oh, that's a genius idea.
Yeah, the Waymark Mile.
You want to tell everybody?
Yeah, it's a new backpack. Well, it's not a new backpack. It's a redesigned backpack.
Yeah.
It's an ultralight 28 liter, I think, max 28 liter. It's comfortably 26, I would say. Backpack that Waymark makes. It's sub 2 pounds. What I like about it is it's got this little zipper thing right above the mesh pocket. Genius. And it's just a waterproof zipper. The stitching around it isn't waterproof, though. It's not taped.
Yeah.
Like, if it was taped, it would actually be waterproof. I think it's made to be more water resistant than waterproof.
Yeah. Any zipper, it's hard to
water. But it's a great place where you can put your wallet, keys for your car, that kind of stuff you don't want, like snacks. It's just a great place to put some stuff that you're just trying to keep out of the way. But the pack is great. I mean, it's my day pack right now. Like it's not even a question. That is my day pack.
Did you watch Miyagi's video?
Trip. Yes,
I watched his video, but I was with him whenever he was.
Well, I'm in his video.
Oh, I need to watch it.
Yeah, because he talked about it from the standpoint of, for those who don't know, Miyagi on the Trail, good friend of ours, Brad.
Yeah,
great guy.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, Miyagi on the Trail, fantastic channel. Probably one of the most underrated channels of the backpacking channels out there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how he doesn't have 15,000 subscribers to that channel. Like,
He'll get there.
It blows my mind. But he and I tag teamed on a video, and it's on his channel, and it's about the Waymark Mile, and he talks about it from the standpoint. Yeah, he talks about it from the backpacking standpoint because he used it when you guys went up and did the long trail.
Yeah, we weighed our backpacks right at the beginning of the trip, right before we stepped on trail. He's like, all right, everybody take the water out of your backpacks. Everybody hook it on here. And his was like so light for a 3-day trip.
It was like 12 pounds or something, wasn't it?
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And how many liters you say that pack is?
It's like 28 packed out. So he used it, and I talked about it being a day pack. And so I use it, I use it as a diaper bag. Seriously, like I used it as a diaper bag one day because it's lighter than my wife's actual diaper bag.
Yeah. Bless you.
I must be allergic to you right now. It's not COVID. But no, it was, I've used it as a diaper bag, a day pack. I use it as an everyday carry pack. I put my computer in it one day and took it to work. I'm thinking maybe this weekend when I go on a little overnight trip, I may try and use it as my backpack.
Try it.
But I'm bringing like 5 steaks with me, so I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah, I
don't know. I have to figure that out. I got to find out if I'm bringing a steak for one Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir as well. I don't know if he's going to be there or not.
I think he'll be there.
There's 3 other guys that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Mark from Mark Goes Hiking, Brad from As a Crow Flies Hiking, and Doug from
Backcountry
Pilgrim. Yeah. So the 3 of those guys are going to be out there, and I told them I'd bring them all some Kentucky steaks. Because that's how we roll in this place.
I'd be impressed if you can fit that in there. Because Miyagi, he's like doing minimal everything.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is can I pull? Here's the thing, it's going to be 89 degrees, so I am not bringing a puffy jacket.
Yeah,
I'm not even bringing a long sleeve shirt.
You bring an underquilt? Bring I'll really warm.
Probably
warm
bring
weather?
an underquilt. I've got a Costco quilt that's really small and light. It's just like a 3/4 quilt. I might bring that with me. And then I've got the Aegis Max, so I could bring that. And that gets down about the size of a water bottle. So I could take that with me. I'm not going to bring a whole lot of clothes. It's just a 1 day. I mean, the hike in is like 2.5 miles, maybe 3 miles. So I'm not even going to bring extra clothes. I might bring an extra shirt to wear that night because I'll probably sweat on the hike in just because it's going to be 89 degrees.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to get there in the afternoon. So it'll be the hottest part of the day that I'll be doing it. Yeah. So by the time I get there, I'll be all red-faced and sweating from head to toe. But other than that, I don't see myself bringing extra clothes. Not even bringing a ton of food. I was bringing dinner for that night. I may just bring I've got these keto granola bar things. I may just have one of those for breakfast and just hike out.
Yeah.
So I'll probably bring enough water that I don't need to reload water. So it's just going to be a quick, for me, it's just a quick overnight to go say hi to the guys and bring them some food.
Yeah. You can do that pretty minimally. You might be able to get away with it.
I'm thinking I can. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think that's the difference between the Cottage company and the big boxes. The Cottage company really lends itself toward the ultralight community more so than the average backpacker.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's on purpose. I mean, sometimes it definitely is because they're really marketing. But, I mean, from a business standpoint, the ultralight community is a minority. So that may be one of the reasons why Osprey is worth however many millions of dollars.
Well, I think what happens, and this is just me talking out loud, and I don't know these companies.
Yeah, we don't have anything rehearsed. There's no plan, so I don't know the next thing that's going to come out of my mouth.
I am not speaking on behalf of any ultralight backpacking company. But what my thing is, this is a door into the community. So like, if you take ULA for instance, they have some heavier big backpacks. They do. But it seems like the ultralight community is still big. Like we're saying it's a small part of the backpacking community, but it's still big. I mean, there's a lot of ultralight backpackers.
Sure.
Thousands of them.
Yeah, climbers too.
Oh,
I mean, it transcends just backpacking.
So if you can get into that community and start building a brand, then you can step out of that community a little bit and maybe start expanding.
Yeah.
There's no telling how some of these companies start and what they were doing first. When you look at UGQ, it was just Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul wanted to make some gear for himself.
Yeah, working at his house.
And some buddies saw his gear and was like, "Where'd you get that?" He goes, "I made it." He goes, "Will you make me some?"
Yeah.
It started with him just making gear for his friends.
Yeah.
There's no telling. Like you look at Chicken Tramper, he actually went on the PCT, hiked it, and took a notebook, and then took notes of people on the trail. What would be your favorite backpack?
Yeah, that's purpose. That's purposeful.
Yeah, he specifically wanted to make a backpack for long trail hikers. That's who he was making it for. So it needed to be lightweight. It needed to have the options that they wanted, and it needed to be as minimal as possible at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that's where the Chicken Tramper backpack came from. And Z-Packs, it was the owner. He was just making his own gear.
Yeah.
And and it was before ultralight was a thing. And so like he's hiking the Appalachian Trail with this backpack that weighs next to nothing. He's looking, everybody else has got these huge, massive backpacks, and they're all looking at him like, "What are you carrying?"
Yeah.
And so he got free exposure on the most traveled trail in America.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, and then the word of mouth begins to spread, and all of a sudden, a few people are like, "Well, can I order one?" It's like, yeah. So he starts selling them, and before too long, he's got this huge company called Z-Packs.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with doing it either way.
Right. I think it's just a matter of you build your company, and then as you grow, you expand. I think Outdoor Vitals, you look at what they did originally and what they're doing now. I think the area where Outdoor Vitals is really succeeding right now is in clothing. They are killing it on the clothing end.
Yeah,
I've got a pair of
their clothing.
They got these Satu pants that are ridiculous. I love them. They've also got this like dragon's wool hoodie, which I've taken on like 15 trips.
Wow.
And it is awesome. Like the hoodie is awesome. Like when we talk to Tayson, I'm totally going to give him props for that because that is a sick sweat. Is sick even a cool word anymore? I'm 47, so I don't even know what's. I don't even know. I don't know if that's a word people use nowadays.
That's appropriate.
Jeremiah. Is it appropriate?
Yeah. Ironic since you're sneezing.
I was sneezing just a second ago. It's not COVID. Just want to make sure that y'all know that. But yeah, so it's. I think as companies grow, they expand like what they can make, and they'll have more financial resources. They'll have more connections within the industry to get a hold of fabrics and manufacturers and things like that. So I think it's really interesting watching the cottage companies that you and I know personally and seeing where they are now and wondering like 5, 6, 7 years from now, where are they going to be?
Yeah.
What are they going to be making?
Yeah.
And I think to me, that is actually the most fun part about being a part of I call it a movement, like the cottage movement in backpacking. Garage Grown Gear. What a great company. Their whole goal is to get cottage brands.
Yeah. That's a great platform.
Yeah. To me, getting the opportunity to help these companies live out their dreams is awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah. That's a great way to end it.
I think so. Well, I also see it as a couple guys who decided to do a podcast out of nowhere. And if we didn't have such amazing people listening to this podcast, it wouldn't be growing.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with the company.
Yeah, if they didn't have people who were just really bought into what they were selling, nobody would want to buy it.
Yeah, you also have to produce a good product.
Yeah,
hopefully we can do that too.
Let me ask you, if you were to lean one way or the other, if you had two products sitting in front of you right now, one was Cottage and one was Big Box, would you lean one way or the other?
I think it would have to depend on the trip. Like if it's wintertime, then I'm going to take that Osprey because I know I need to be able to carry 30 pounds and be comfortable, even though it's more weight on your body. But if I'm going and doing something like you're talking about for the weekend, that one night, frameless.
Every time.
Frameless Cottage, 1 pound, 14 ounce backpack, as light as I can go, be super comfortable.
Yeah, when I went up to Michigan, I intentionally got on Garage Grown Gear, and I bought a crap ton of stuff. I'm not even kidding you. I grabbed a crap ton of stuff because I was just like, I just want to have a bunch of stuff that is made by people that just have a dream.
Yeah.
And so like for me, I think my Ohm 2.0, I can use that winter backpacking. No problem. It can carry 35 pounds, and I don't stress about it. I don't know about the chicken tramper yet. I've never put that much weight in it.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact I can with the Ohm 2.0.
Yeah, I put 30 pounds in the chicken tramper.
Yeah, I know I can do it. I'm not worried about it. I don't stress about it. The different clothing options you can have. I've got a sweatshirt coming in. Not a sweatshirt. I guess it's just a hoodie. But it's coming from Senchi Designs.
I don't know about Senchi
Exactly.
Designs.
Hardly anybody does.
Yeah.
But I've got a sweatshirt coming in, or a hoodie coming in like a week or two from them. And I can't wait to get that thing on and try it out. It weighs like 5 ounces.
Wow. So let's mention that. You already said Garage Grown Gear, but for those that don't know, if you're curious about supporting cottage companies and you're like, well, where do I even find them?
Right.
That's a great platform because their mission is to help other companies.
Yeah.
Right? So they give them a platform on garagegrowngear.com to sell for cottage companies to basically sell their products, like Six Moons Designs. You could go to their website, but if you never heard of them, how would you even know to look up their website?
Yeah.
But if you go to Garage Grown Gear, there's like a feed of different companies that you can check out their products.
And it just gives you an opportunity to kind of open the world a little bit for you on what's available. Because some of the stuff these cottage companies are making, they're not being made by your big box brands.
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool thing. And if you're listening right now, go check out Garage Grown Gear. It's a fantastic company. The website's real simple, garagegrowngear.com. That's all you need to know. And it's fantastic. They make they really are doing a good job of supporting these new companies.
I feel that we don't have a sponsor for this episode,
No.
but I feel like we could have 100 of them.
Oh, we could. Yeah, they're all loving us right now. They're all going, dude, we all got talked about today. But that's okay. I mean, here's the thing. And I will say this point blank for me anyways. I want these companies to get exposure. And they can't afford sponsorships, a lot of them. They just can't afford it. I mean, they're literally working on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Like,
they're working a full-time job.
yeah, they work a regular job and then come home at night and make gear. That's a lot of these companies. And so for me personally, I will always lean towards the Cottage company. Clothing, some parts of clothing I won't, because like things like socks, I'm going in Gingy, folks. It's the only sock that I don't blister on, and I don't care who you are. You better give me the socks for free if you want me to check them out if they're not in Gingies. That's all I'm saying, because at this point I'm an Gingy person.
You bought into
but I'm in 100%.
Socks.
But I think there's certain things that if there's a choice between a Cottage company and a big box brand, I'm probably going to go Cottage. But for me, it's just because I'm big with the underdog. I've been a Cleveland Browns fan my whole life. That alone should tell you how much of an underdog fan I am.
Big time underdog.
Big time underdog until this year. We're Super Bowl contenders this year. You just watch.
Next year, underdog.
No, this year. This year, bro. We just won 11 games this year. We went to the playoffs. We destroyed Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Has nothing to do with backpacking, by the way. But I love underdogs. And so I always want to see the Cottage company do well.
Yeah. And then you want them to get destroyed once they're big.
No.
Doesn't that defeat the whole underdog notion?
No, it just because then we celebrate when they get big.
Yeah,
I still buy Osprey stuff.
Yeah.
I still buy Osprey stuff. I still buy stuff from other companies. It's just if I'm going to choose between two, I lean towards the Cottage company.
Yeah, I do both, but they're not mutually exclusive. You can use both. I use both every trip.
Every trip.
Yeah,
every trip. I've got. Here's the thing. I say that, but I have more outdoor research clothing than anybody. Like Outdoor Research, I love that company.
I've never tried one single thing. One time I found one of their hats.
Yeah,
it was like left on either the Long Trail or I think it was the Long Trail, or it may have been the AT. I don't remember. Anyway, I found it.
Yeah,
and I had a hat on, and I was like, man, that's one of those Outdoor Research, like it's a different fabric. Like this is what trucker hat.
Yeah.
And theirs is like, I don't know, they're made for outdoors,
Right.
And I tried it on, and it did not fit my head at all. It wasn't that it was a...
Well, you've always had a big head, so that makes sense.
It wasn't that it was the wrong size.
Right.
It's just like it was too deep.
Like, I got you.
I don't know. I guess my head didn't fill it out enough.
That's
but it
shocking.
Down. I know. My ears will get a little sore if my hat stays rubbing against it.
Yeah.
So
you actually don't have a big head. You're one of the most humble guys I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Giving you a hard time.
But that's the only time I've even really touched any of their products.
When I went up to my trip to Michigan a few months ago, I literally had an Outdoor Vitals hat.
Outdoor Research or
Outdoor Research,
Vitals?
sorry. Outdoor Research hat, sun hoodie, pants, sun gloves. The whole time. Wore them all. I totally fanboy for Outdoor Research.
Hard.
So I do love my Cottage companies, but I also love the big box brands as well. You can't beat good quality.
Sure.
Good quality is good quality regardless of whether it comes from one or the other. But I will say that on pieces of gear like backpacks, quilts, things like that, I'm pretty much Cottage all the way. But on clothing, I wouldn't even say I'm big box. I'll just say I'm Outdoor Vitals pretty much, or Outdoor Research for almost all my clothing.
I'll try any of it, man.
Yeah.
And if it's good with me.
Are you that guy, like when you go to restaurants, you try something different every single time?
A lot of times I'll ask the wait staff.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what's the best thing here?
Yeah.
But yeah.
When you go to a restaurant though multiple times, do you have one thing that you get and you love it and you keep going back to it?
No, I like trying different stuff.
See, I see that. I totally see that. Like I'm one of those people, like I'll try everything, and then once I found the one I like, that's it. I'm done. Like I'll try, like say there's like they have 5 items on their menu that everybody like raves about. Over the course of like 4 or 5 times going there, I will try all those different things. But then once I figure out which one I like the best, those other things are okay.
Variety.
I want that.
Variety's the spice of life, man.
Varieties, but I've tried it.
Yeah.
I try it all. But once I find the one I love, I'm there. And so like over the last several years, I've tried a lot of different brands of clothing. Patagonia hiking pants, the Outdoor Vital Satu pants, I think they're great.
Yeah.
But dude, these ones I got from Outdoor Research, I'm just saying it.
Game changer.
Game changer.
For you, they might not fit me though.
Well, they shouldn't fit you. I'm way bigger around the midsection than you are and have shorter legs by a long shot. No way they're going to fit you.
Yeah, but they might not be even in my size. A good fit, you know?
Yeah.
The rise might be wrong on them for me.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, but I'll try them.
But like I said, I think both, you need both.
Yeah.
I don't think the backpacking world's good without both.
Yeah.
So, but I think for me, I definitely, on backpacks and quilts, I will definitely lean Cottage company every time. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
So, but hey, you got anything else you want to share with us today, or are we going to go ahead and sign off and let people get back to their normal lives?
I'm hungry. Let's go get some of that variety food.
Ooh, I like getting some variety food. Well, for myself and Mr. Jeremiah Stringer, thank you for listening to the podcast. We will catch you on the next one.
Adios.